Wildcat and Ladycat Station, KSST 1230 AM, Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's time for Wildcat Soccer. Let's go to Gerald Prim Stadium, where tonight's game is called by KSST Sports Director Don Julian. Don?
Well, James Terry, thank you very much, and welcome everyone into Gerald Prim Stadium. We're in the Bill Bradford press box here, where we are calling tonight's soccer game between the Wildcats of Sulphur Springs and the Greenville Lions. This is a district contest. That's the opening of district play for these two teams. As best I can figure out, at least according to Max Preps, Greenville Lions have a 7-5 record this year. The Wildcats are 5-2. I know that for a fact. And we're just about ready for this one, as the teams are, Greenville is still doing some pregame work, some shots on goal and that sort of thing. The Wildcats have come into the sideline area, and they're getting ready for the start of this game with about a minute left on the pregame clock. The meeting is just now getting underway at the center circle with our three yellow-clad and black shorted officials with various captains out there for Greenville and the Wildcats as we get ready for what should be a very, very good game. The way Lexi Upton, the Wildcats head soccer coach, has it all figured out, he thinks that these are two of the teams out of three that will be battling at the top this year, along with Mount Pleasant. So add Mount Pleasant to the mix and these two, and that's the way he sees it. Now, it doesn't always turn out that way. You know, that's why you play the games. There's always going to be a surprise. I think Greenville was kind of a surprise last year as they kind of made their quantum leap, and now they're considered a really strong opponent for anybody that in the district. And so this should be a good one as we get ready for play here. Lexi Upton is now heading out to the center circle. Looks like the Greenville coach is out there. They're coached by Charles Malmros. And while we have a few moments here before the players get introduced by Jeremy Offit, who is our next door neighbor here up in the booth, and he'll be announcing the squads for both teams. We might just say that we certainly appreciate the Greenville Lions for their permission in order to live stream this soccer game this evening, and also post it to YouTube where you can watch it after the fact. We appreciate Darren Duke, the athletic director and head football coach over in Greenville, for his permission, and the Greenville administration and everybody behind the broadcast this evening. They're part of what makes it happen, because we couldn't do it without them, and we'll find that out on Friday. We got Lindale coming to town, and we will not be doing that game. Their soccer coach decided he did not want. I don't know if it was the streaming as much as the posting to YouTube, but whatever the objection was, we will not be doing Friday's game except on radio and in the old-fashioned way. Let's check in now with Jeremy Offit as he introduces the teams.
Wildcats. Here's the roster for Greenville. Number 2, Hayden Braven. Number 5, Hayden Marshall. Number 6, Carson Lee. Number 7, Kevin Zavala. Number 8, Fred Ozarowski. Number 9, Kevin Jasso. Number 10, Ian Miller. Number 11, Carter Wilson. Number 12, Christian Lerman. Number 14, Joel Salazar. Number 17, Noel McKinney. Number 23, Zane Aguilar. Number 22, Richard. Number 1, Ryan Cole Marvel. Now, here's Sulphur Springs Wildcats. 0, Eleazar Brenna. Number 1, Andrew Escobar. Number 2, Omar Fernandez. Number 3, Ryan Sanchez. Number 4, Jose Salazar. Number 5, Isaac Gutierrez. Number 6, Namian Ramirez. Number 7, Enrique Ariano. Number 8, Kevin Yamez. Number 9, Angel Andino. Number 10, Miguel Rubio. Number 11, Alexis Escobedo. Number 12, David Moreno. Number 13, Christian Palomino. Number 15, Alfredo Vargas. Number 16, Ricardo Torres. Number 17, Matthew Johnson. Number 18, Daniel Moreno. Number 19, Christian Ramirez. Number 21, Manuel Esparza. Number 22, Noe Moss. And number 23, Alejandro Diastado. Wildcats are coached by Lexi Upton.
And that's Jeremy Offit, the PA man here in the press box. Don Julian with you here, along with Doug Haston, who's doing the engineering and the video work tonight as we get ready for our national anthem.
Gentlemen, take off your hats and face the south end of the stadium. And let's pay honor to America and those who can fight for the day.
And our national anthem here from Gerald Prim Stadium, Greenville against the Wildcats of Sulphur Springs. District opener for both teams in District 15-5A. And Wildcats are now gathering around Lexi Upton on the home side of the field here. Greenville around their head coach in Chuck Malmus, or Malmrus, excuse me. And their Greenville fashion report for the radio station, radio audience. All white uniforms for Greenville with red numerals. The Wildcats in their home blue with white numerals on there. And pretty soon the starting players will be wandering out onto the field, and we'll be getting this one underway very shortly here. Busy sports night tonight. The Wildcats of Sulphur Springs basketball team playing Lindale tonight, scheduled for a 7:30 start in Lindale. And Lady Cat Soccer going on at Cotton Ford Stadium over in Greenville, and they should be getting underway just like us here at about this time. Two teams last year, Wildcats and Greenville. Greenville won that one 5-0. I was looking back on that, And 4 of those goals for Greenville are still in this ball game. 3 of them were a hat trick by Ian Miller, and he's back. And they got another goal from Joel Salazar, and he is back. The player that scored the first goal graduated apparently, and he is not with the Greenville program. But they still bring a lot of that firepower from last year. Alexi Upton brings his enthusiasm to these Wildcats, and he's got them playing very, very well. We really liked the way they looked against Melissa. That was, I guess, just last Friday. Well, it seems like a long time ago. As they say, a lot of water has flowed under the bridge since then. But, yeah, just last Friday, but they looked awfully good. The Wildcats will start with possession of the ball. They'll be traveling left to right across the radio dial. And the Wildcats have the ball in their defensive end with Greenville in hot pursuit. Ball on the far touchline, and now Greenville has it. And here come the Lions. Wildcats defense breaks that up and kicks it out to the midline. Greenville kicks it back into Wildcats territory. Now the ball at the midline again. Greenville has it. This would be Peyton Franklin. And now the ball kicked up near the midline again. Omar Hernandez kicking it back to a teammate. Greenville on the attack, though, pries the ball loose. And they have a player moving in, and boy, he's drawing an attention. That's Ian Miller, and he's got about 4 Wildcats around him. There's a sliding defensive play, and the ball goes out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for the Greenville Lions on the far touchline. And they throw it into the box area. And the Wildcats will boot it out of that box and get a nice kick up near the midline. Greenville settles it down and now kicks into their defense to get things going. And they will bring the ball over to the touchline here. Moody, he's a very good defensive player, trying to be offensive right now, but the Wildcats take it away. And Kevin Yanez has it for the Wildcats. Excuse me, that's Alexis Escobedo. And now the ball in the hands of Isaac Gutierrez. He moves it down the field. Wildcats pressuring. And the Wildcats maneuvering into the deeper into the Greenville end. Now Greenville trying to come out of their defensive end. Wildcats back checking, but Greenville gets it across. Kick it into the Wildcats end to David Marino. And the team's now exchanging deep kicks. David Marino, will send it back toward the keeper, Eliezer Brena. Now the ball on the far touchline for the Wildcats. They'll kick it up near the midline, but taken by Greenville, and they're on the attack now. Player maneuvering in, and a foul is called on one of the Wildcats, and that'll set up a free kick for Greenville. And let's see where that kick is going to take place. It's a little deeper than I thought where that foul occurred. Let's see, they're going to now bring it back to the about 44 yards out between the hash mark and the sideline on the football field. And now one of the Wildcats is heading off the field, as this is Alejandro Diosdado. He may have gotten maybe a little bit of blood that needs Tammy Carroll's attention. That's something they're very careful about now. And coming in for the Wildcats is Angel Andino. I'm sure they'll have him patched up, and he'll be back out there in no time. Here's the kick by Greenville. It's a thundering kick down the field. It's right out in front. Greenville settles it down. The kick is blocked. Back out, blocked again by the Wildcats, and they continue to maneuver it down the field. It comes to Moody. He kicks up to the midline. They're a player 23 that we do not have on the roster. And here's Greenville moving in, and a player kicking into the goal. A quick goal for Greenville. And scoring for the Lions is Kevin Jasso. He is listed as kind of the third prong of the Greenville attack. And Jasso puts one in the goal early for Greenville at 36-26. And Greenville leads 1-0. So a goal by Kevin Jasso. And on the scouting report, can tell you that what they said is their third weapon. Says gets a lot of easy finishes because of the attention that their 2 other goal threats draw. good offensive player and finisher, and we just saw that. Now the Wildcats on the attack in the Greenville end as they maneuver and try to open up and try to get the equalizer here. The ball comes to the middle of the field toward Yanez, but intercepted by Greenville, and here they come on the attack. And on the foot of Miller, taken off his foot, but Miller continues to maneuver in. And now he takes a fall, hoping for a call. He did not get it, and he looks like he just got shot with a shotgun and trying to get a call from the official. Now, if he's really hurt, I apologize, but he is still down there and works his way, trying to get up on his feet there. One of the Wildcats, David Marino, is checking with him. And so they will make sure that Ian Miller is okay. The clock has been stopped here as he's walking it off. And the result will be a free kick for Greenville, looks like. The official walking toward the midline to see where he's going to set that ball down here. Greenville leading 1-0, 35-34 left in the first half. Greenville with an early goal, just 3 minutes and 34 seconds into play. Now the ball's kicked toward the Wildcats keeper, and it's Brina has it. And gets a nice high punt out of there. Comes down to Omar Hernandez off his foot. Now Greenville has it again. He'll work it over to Franklin. And he sends a player speeding down the right side. And out of bounds it goes, and that'll be a goal kick for the Wildcats. It's just over about 35 minutes to go here in the first half, and Greenville with an early goal here, leading 1-0. And the Wildcats will get a left-footed kick from a position player out of the, no, it is a right-footed kick, excuse me, headed by the Wildcats. And Greenville will kick it back toward their defense. Comes over to the side now to Carson Moody. And the Wildcats, Yanez, kicks it back to the defense. And up to Yanez again. He's being back-checked by Greenville by the goal scorer, Jasso. And Jasso picked up the foul. Free kick for the Wildcats. They're about 12 yards from the midline. And David Marino with a thundering kick down the field. Nice header by Greenville, and the Wildcats get a header, so does Greenville. And now the Wildcats push it down the field towards Omar Hernandez. He kicks toward the keeper. One big hop into the goalkeeper. I believe that's Zane Aguilar. And he kicks it out of there. Wildcats move it down to Omar Hernandez. Omar on the move. Left-footed kick went off a Greenville player, and here come the Lions on the attack. And again, Peyton Franklin, a big fella in the midfield. He worked it over to Kevin Zavala, who's another one of those big scorers, along with Miller and Jasso. And now the ball worked over to Moody coming down from the defense, and he kicks it toward the goal. Nice header out of there by the Wildcats, settled down by Greenville. Taken away, though, by the Wildcats. But Greenville got it back. Kicked off of a Wildcat player, and now a defender will move it up down the field. Once again, Greenville on the attack. Again, the big Franklin working his way through players. Now slips and falls. Moody will kick toward the middle, trying to get Miller down there. The Wildcats have it inside the box and look like a tackling job in the end zone there, but officials letting them play on, but they'll say a goal kick for the Wildcats. And I believe this is Andrew Escobar. Do not have my field glasses tonight. I forgot them, left them back at the station. So as John Madden would say, I'm going to be using raw eyes tonight to well, maybe these glasses on my face will help me too. I think raw eyes, I couldn't see the players. Greenville on the attack right now as they maneuver in. The Wildcats get a nice kick from a defender. And down to Yanez. He moves it over to Omar Hernandez. Omar with the ball. And the Wildcats kick the ball down the field, but Greenville heads it out of there. Yanez going back, trying to get possession. And now they'll work to Jasso. And Yanez was working on him. And again, let me see if Max Prep's roster maybe has that number 23. No, I don't have him on there either. Now the Wildcats maneuvering in, trying to get the equalizer here right at the keeper. Oh my, nice shot on goal for the Wildcats. But a good defensive play by Greenville. Stifled Nabian Ramirez, I believe, made that shot. And again, boy, I'm missing those field glasses here. Here comes Wildcats maneuvering in there to the far left of the 18-yard box. Player continuing to maneuver, kicks it. It hit the side of the goal and goes out of bounds. A goal kick for Greenville. Well, I take that back. This is setting up, looks like a corner kick, and that's what we're going to get here from the Wildcats. And again, without my field glasses, I have no way, no how I can see who's kicking that ball from that far sideline over in the dark. The kick is knocked out of there by Greenville, and here they come on the attack. They send the ball down the field. The Wildcats doing a good job of marking Miller, though, but here he comes in a big hurry. Miller flashing down the field. Miller moving in. His kick in the goal for Miller. 2 quick goals for Greenville. So Miller scores his first. Again, he scored a hat trick last year. And in less than 10 minutes, the Greenville Lions have gotten 2 goals, one from Jasso and one from Miller. And that time Miller really showcased his speed. And he is a big-time goal scorer. I think they estimated that he had between 15 and 25 goals coming into tonight's game. So that's scoring pretty prolifically, maybe as many as 2 a game. Now the ball, the Wildcats have it back to Yanez as the Wildcats trying to regroup a little bit as they've fallen behind 2-0. Greenville hits them with a haymaker here, a pair of haymakers, with a couple of quick goals in the first 10 minutes of the contest. Now the ball, the team's trading headers. Now Greenville on the attack over to Jasso. He slips and falls, and the Wildcats, Brian Hernandez, moves it over to Omar Hernandez. Omar on the move, sends it down the right side, see if they can keep it in bounds. Just do over there for the Wildcats. I think that's Escobedo. And now a hard foul there on Alexis Escobedo, and some words are being exchanged here after that hard foul. And Greenville jumped in there and got their player out of there. I think Zane Aguilar, I believe. But the officials, well, they're kind of having a discussion there to make sure if any calls are necessary. Alexi Upton came down to find out about it, and the officials sent him back toward the bench area, told him to head back in that direction. And now the official is calling 2 players from each team, or a player from each team. Jasso's one of them. I think Yanez is the other. These are probably your captains here. And the official is having a big meeting, and the 2 captains shake hands with each other, and so the official feels like that his hard feelings are mended there and no further action necessary. Free kick for Greenville, and they'll put it into play with a thundering kick out of their end. Went off a Wildcats player, a whistle blows, and a foul on the Wildcats. Greenville will have a kick from about 33 yards out, and taking this will be Kevin Zavala. The Wildcats have a picket fence set up. Zavala to kick the ball and thunders it toward the goal. It's headed toward the goal. Brina makes a nice save, got very high up there to catch that ball with lots of Greenville players around, and now puts a nice kick into it that's going to head across the midline, but Greenville settles it down, and they're back on the attack. Jasso right on the near touchline, taken by the Wildcats, Isaac Gutierrez. Here comes Isaac, kicks it down toward Omar Hernandez. He's flying down the field with Moody, the defender, and now it goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Wildcats. And so Moody will throw it in. Carson Moody, it's M-U-D-I-E. There's his throw in. And off the Wildcats and out of bounds. And it went off of Omar Hernandez. Here's a throw in. And Yanez kicked it back toward Moody, but he kicked it up near the midline for Greenville, trying to start their offense. Wildcats trying to generate some offense, but Greenville having pretty good ball possession here in the first few minutes. Now they've got Miller to the right of the box again. Boy, he is lethal with his speed. Now Miller on the move, went right around a defender, kicks right out in front. The ball loose in front, and the Wildcats cleaned that out of there. Came right back in, but the Wildcats coming out of there with it. And here's Bryant Sanchez with a lot of speed. Or that was, excuse me, that was Isaac Gutierrez. Now the ball on the far touchline. And Greenville kicks it, but the Wildcats get it, still trying to penetrate that tough Greenville defense. And Greenville pries it loose, and he'll get another thundering kick toward the Wildcats' goal. The Wildcats kick it out of there. But Greenville still on the attack. Wildcats get a header on the ball. Comes down here to the near touchline. This is Yanez. And he works it over to Alexis Escobedo. But taken away by Moody, and he'll kick it into the defense. Sure wish we knew who 23 was. He's got a very strong leg, but we do not have a 23 on the Greenville roster anywhere. Oh, we do. Zane Aguilar is listed as either 1 or 23, so I'm assuming that must be who he is. So let's make that notification there. He has a very, very strong leg. Substitutions for the Wildcats as they'll bring back Alejandro Diosdado, also coming in Miguel Rubio and Enrique Arellano. All in there for the Wildcats. Here's a throw in for the Wildcats on the far touchline. And here comes Greenville along that touchline. The ball goes out of bounds right by the Greenville bench. And it'll be a throw in for the Lions. Looks like Noah Buchanan to throw in for the Lions. Actually, he will defer to one of his teammates there. We're at 24-22, and Greenville already with 2 goals in this contest and a 2-0 lead. And Yanez moves it up near the midline, but Greenville intercepts, and here they come on the attack. They find Miller on that far touchline. He kicks toward the middle, headed out nicely by David Moreno, excuse me. And now here comes Aguilar. Ball taken off his foot, kicked toward the middle of the field. Greenville settles it down and kicks toward the goal, and that, I don't know what's causing all the popping in the audio tonight. I do have no idea. I mean, I'm hearing that. Maybe you're not hearing that where you are. Maybe it's just in my headphones, I hope. Goal kick for the Wildcats now. Greenville leading 2-0 at 23-31. And there's a kick out of there, and Wildcats trying to settle it down. Comes down to Miguel Rubio. Greenville takes it away, though. They'll get it back to Peyton Franklin. Peyton, a big fella, kicks it down toward Miller. Miller racing to the right of the box. The Wildcats really trying to stay with him there. Had a couple of players marking him. Ball went across the end line. Goal kick for the Wildcats. About 23 left here in the first half, and Greenville for 2 goals, scored them in the first 10 minutes. They lead 2-0. Wildcats still trying to get a good chance. They have had a hard time penetrating this Greenville defense. Kick up the field, but Greenville settling it down. The Wildcats get it. And now a whistle blows. Might have been an inadvertent handball. And it's going to set up a free kick for Greenville. Going to be not far away. It's about, now they're moving it out a little bit. So it's going to be about 34 yards out. It looks like right on goal. It's right in the middle of the field. And a kick coming up now for Kevin Zavala, their number 2 scorer. And Zavala with a kick. Kind of knuckles down the field. He had a teammate down there. Moody was trying to sneak in from the left side and scissor that ball into the goal, but he couldn't get a leg on it, and it went past him. It'll be a goal kick for the Wildcats. Greenville 2, the Wildcats 0. 21:46 left here in the first half. Greenville kind of shocking these Wildcats with 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. And kind of, you know, if you were in a boxing match and what do they say? Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face. And the Wildcats kind of took a couple of blows there. They're trying to settle this game down a little bit now. And here comes Greenville on the attack as they move in. Get the ball to Zavala. He kicks toward the goal, a one-hopper right into Brina. And he stops that one, and now he will boot it out of there. Just over 21 to play here in the first half, and the Wildcats trailing Greenville 2-0. Ball kicked down the field. The Wildcats have it on the far touchline. Move it back into their defense a little bit and thunder it down the field. Omar Hernandez racing after it. He kicks toward the goal. Oh, it just missed the right post. Looked like Omar had a great chance there as he split the defenders because he was moving so fast. Had the keeper out of position, but he had a wide open net. He just had to put it in there, and it just trickled past that right post. A near miss for Omar Hernandez. Wildcats still trailing 2-0 with 20:23 left here in the first half. Foul on the Wildcats after the kick up near the midline. And so right about the midline, Greenville will have a free kick here. They'll bring in that strong-legged Aguilar. Zane with an X. X-A-Y-N-E, Aguilar. Will kick the ball for the Lions. And he does thunder it down the field. It's headed, went to the side. Wildcats chasing it down. Kick it high in the air. That's going to end up, I believe, on the side of the Wildcats dugout, out of bounds. So it'll be a Greenville throw-in. And Moody will do that for Greenville. No, actually, he defers to a teammate here. And throwing in for the Lions will be Joel Salazar. He scored a goal in the game last year. There's Salazar's throw into the box, and the Wildcats kick it out of there and get another kick on it and move it up the field a little bit. Gets by the Greenville player Carter Mulkey. Now the Wildcats trying to get it and go along the touchline, knocked out of bounds by the Lions. Throw in for the Wildcats, just over 19 to play here in the first half, and Greenville leads 2-0. Wildcats moving it down the field. Have a player right in the middle of the field. The kick was partially blocked, but a good save by the Greenville keeper. And he will kick it out of there. Heads up the field toward Jasso. And Greenville right around the midline trying to start their offense. Wildcats trying to pry it loose, but that big Peyton Franklin moves it down to Miller. Miller in on the goal, and Miller has put another one in the goal for Greenville. 2 goals for Ian Miller. And he scores that one at 18:25, and Greenville with a 3-0 lead on the Wildcats here. And Miller with that lethal speed. And 3-0. And the Wildcats will be putting it back into play. I'd say Greenville's ready for district play. I don't know about this 7-5 and all this kind of stuff or whatever they'd done before, tied this team, tied that team, but they are playing at a high rate right now, and the Wildcats trying to stay with them. Ball on the far touchline, kicked up the field, but the Wildcats have it, and they need a goal here to try to get back in this ball game. Down 3-0. That ball on the far touchline, kicked out of bounds by the Wildcats. Throw in for the Lions. 17:55 left first half. Greenville 3-0. And there's the throw in for the Lions. Comes into the Wildcats. Players struggling for position. Wildcats kick it down the field, and Greenville quickly moves on the offense. And here's that Franklin trying to move it down the field. Broken up by the Wildcats. Ball on the far touchline now. And players still trying to get position. The Wildcats get it. They're maneuvering along that far touchline. Down the field it goes. Comes in the field a little bit, and Greenville kicks it back into the Wildcats' end. And here's that big Peyton Franklin. Franklin maneuvering in and continues to maneuver. Now another Greenville player takes over, and the Wildcats send the ball to the side right on the near touchline. They move in Moody, who a strong kick, but the Wildcats get it out of the way, but to another player, and he was juiced up and hit the top of the Home of Champions sign by Alliance Bank that they've got in that end of Prim Stadium. Shows all the championships and district champions and all that kind of stuff. And boy, he hit a high on that. Now you have to, that takes a strong kick to get to there. He was really amped up to try to kick that ball as hard as he could, and it really rose on him. So a goal kick now for the Wildcats. They trail 3-0. 16-12 left here in the first half. Header by the Wildcats. Greenville has it on the far touchline, though, and they move it toward Miller, intercepted, but Greenville got it back. They'll kick it into the box, and the keeper, Brenna, comes over to get it for the Wildcats. And he will punt it out of there. Nice punt across the midline into Greenville territory. Wildcats trying to get possession. Omar Hernandez had it on his foot. Now he's dumped over there. And Greenville in their defensive end trying to come out of there. Wildcats good back checking there by Alejandro Diastado. Now a kick into the Wildcats end. Here comes Miller. Miller moving in. Miller with a lot of speed, and oh gosh, tell me he didn't get fouled in the box. Well, there was no call there. Miller's kind of on his knees there wondering why he didn't get a call. But they say just play it out of there, kick it out of there, Wildcats, and they'll punt it out of there. Nice header by Greenville. And they're on the move again. And this is Zavala as he'll kick across the field for Greenville, or Salazar, excuse me. Got my letters all mixed up. That was Salazar. Here's a throw in for the Wildcats. And back into their defense as they come out of there, and they'll get it up to Kevin Yanez. Yanez toward Hernandez, but intercepted by Moody. He was knocked off the ball. Now here comes the Omar Hernandez. Omar to the middle of the field, putting on a burst of speed. And he finds a teammate on the left side, but kicked it too far for him, and it will go out of bounds. And Greenville will have a goal kick now. 14-15 left in the first half, and Greenville has bolted out to a 3-0 lead. JV action tonight. The Wildcats won that one 3-2. They had a 3-0 lead. Greenville scored 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, and they were mounting pressure to try to get a third when time ran out. So that was kind of a thriller. Ended up a nail biter. And substitutions, and we're just about ready to get back into action here with Aguilar with a kick out of the goal for Greenville. And substitutions for the Wildcats. Hernandez comes out with Diosdado, and coming in is going to be Alexis Escobedo and also Ricardo Torres. Now Aguilar with the kick out of the goal for the Lions. And again, a great leg on that young man. And the Wildcats headed out of bounds. Throw in for the Lions. At 13:03, and Greenville with a 3-0 lead. Throw in for the Lions, headed by the Wildcats. Up near the midline, the Wildcats send it to the far touchline. And here come the Wildcats. And they'll try the left side of that 18-yard box. The keeper is out of there, but Greenville cleared it out of the way. Boy, the Wildcats had an open net there for a while, but couldn't get possession of the ball. And now the ball coming up the field. And the Wildcats maneuvering it down. Ricardo Torres having a hard time getting around a tough defender there. That was that Peyton Franklin. He's a big fella. Knocked out of bounds by Greenville. Throw in now for the Wildcats, and this will be Bryant Sanchez. Sanchez with a throw in. It's knocked back to Sanchez, and he sends it to the middle of the field. Wildcats chasing Jose Salazar. They get it back to David Marino, and he works it down to Miguel Rubio. Rubio trying a teammate on the left side. I think that was Enrique Arellano. Went out of bounds, though, and it'll be a Greenville throw-in fairly deep in their own territory at 11:42. Wildcats trailing 3-0. Went off of a Wildcat on the throw-in, and be Greenville throw-in up about 15 yards from the midline on that far touchline. At 11:23, Greenville 3-0 lead. The throw-in off of a Wildcat. They'll kick, but right into Aguilar for Greenville. And he just thunders straight ahead and continues to maneuver. Now finds a teammate. The Wildcats break that up, though, and get it out to Yanez. Yanez looking for some help. Kicked it down the field. Found a teammate with a very nice long pass. And here come the Wildcats with a player streaking in there. This is Enrique Arellano. And Enrique sends it to the near touchline. Ricardo Torres. But the ball squirts out of there, and Greenville has it. Wildcats Yanez tried a sliding block. Now down the field, and Moody leading the charge. Kicks it toward the center of the field, but the Wildcats defense has it. And this is David Marino, and sends it down for Ricardo Torres. He sends it further down the touchline, but out of bounds it goes. Throw in for the Lions. 10:21. And counting left here in the first half. Greenville leads 3-0. Scored 3 goals in the first 21 minutes or so. 2 goals in the first 10, and their first goal happened just 3.5 minutes into the game, roughly. Aguilar's chasing the ball down, and he finally came up with it. Looks like he was getting paid by the hour there, the way he went after that ball. Here's a Greenville throw-in their defensive end. 9:42 left here in the first half. Greenville leading 3-0. They have the ball in their defensive end. Yanez had it just a second, but Greenville got it right back. They send it to Salazar, and he kicks back into the defense. Now to Yanez for the Wildcats, and he and a teammate play catch. Now Yanez with the left foot. He's got a player trying to burst into the box, but the Greenville keeper makes a sliding stop on the ball right in front of the Wildcats attacker. And here's a punt out for the Greenville keeper. Headed down by the Wildcats. It's now on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to pry it loose there, but Greenville gets possession. And a player maneuvering along and then fell, and ball went out of bounds. Last touch, they say, by the Wildcats. And throw in for the Greenville Lions at 8:45 here in the first half. Greenville 3, the Wildcats 0. Looks like Miller's going to throw that ball in. or maybe, no, he's just going to take a free kick here. This is out about 45 yards right on the far touchline for Ian Miller. And Miller with a strong kick toward the goal, and it's right out in front and taken there by Brenna. I mean, for a foot or two from the goal line. Woo! And the Wildcats will have the goal kick out of here. Well, the official is running all the way over to talk to Coach Malmrus and explain the call down there around the goal. Conversation still going on as the clock continues to click merrily along here. And the official continues the conversation with the Greenville head coach. The official started to walk away, and now he's turned and talking again with Greenville. A very understanding official. He now calls for a stoppage of the clock, or maybe he thought it had been stopped. No, it has now been stopped. He did ask for a stoppage of on the clock, and after his conversation with the Greenville head coach, he's now signaling for the ball to be kicked out of the goal by the Wildcats, and the ball is played out, and that starts the clock. Wildcats get it up to Kevin Yanez at about the midline. Yanez heading across the field, now kicks back into the defense, and a foul is called on the Lions. Free kick for the Wildcats about 5 yards from the midline. A Greenville player thought he should move it back a little bit. Has now moved away from the ball. And here's the kick for the Wildcats. It's deep to the edge of the 18. The Wildcats move the ball to the center of the field. Yanez with the left foot, but off of Aguilar, and he boots it up the field. Here comes Salazar with the ball. He'll cross the field to a teammate flying in over there. Now the ball down in Miller's hands over to the right of the 18-yard box, comes into the box, and then Wildcats kick the ball out of play, and it'll be a Greenville throw in. And actually a corner kick here, a corner kick for Greenville. At 6 minutes to go in the first half, Greenville already leads 3-0, and they're threatening with a corner kick right here. Here's a corner kick by the Lions. It's headed, but to the left of the goal. I believe getting ahead on that was Joel Salazar. Headed it to the left, and be a goal kick for the Wildcats. And David Marino. Right at the edge of the 6-yard box. 5:36 left here in the first half. More substitutions for the Wildcats, and coming in Christian Palomino and Matthew Johnson, as Coach Upton is trying to find the magic combination. So he's shuffling players in and out, trying to find some players that can get them jump started here. Kick out of the goal for the Wildcats, and with the ball now for the Wildcats, Christian Palomino. And Andrews Escobar, then the ball kicked down and went out of bounds. A last touch by Greenville. Throw in for the Wildcats as they move into Greenville territory. And now here's a kick up near the midline. And Greenville has it on the far touchline. Player maneuvering in. Here's a kick. Actually will sail to the left side. Moody came down, and then a kick out of bounds by Bryant Sanchez. Throw in for Greenville, headed out by the Wildcats. And now the official didn't like that throw in by Greenville and gives the Wildcats the throw in. Ball comes down to Escobedo. The Wildcats trying to come out of there with it. This is Isaac Gutierrez. He kicks over to Kevin Yanez, putting on the speed. Yanez with a Greenville player on his back, then it went out of bounds. That Greenville player was Caden Marshall. foul called on Greenville and a free kick for the Wildcats out about 45 yards, pretty near the near touchline. And again, the strong leg of David Marino. And David will kick toward his teammates at the edge of the 18-yard box, repelled out of there. Now David with a left foot down into the box. Greenville heads it out, but right to a Wildcat. The kick was blocked, but to another Wildcat. Couldn't get off a shot. Wildcats trying to settle it down for a shot. They have a player kicked it off, another Greenville player. Now right into the center, and the Wildcats cannot get clean for a shot. But here comes another player down in there for the Wildcats. And they kick it to the center. The Wildcats again trying to settle it down and get a shot off, but Greenville just closing all the doors there. Now the Wildcats again trying to settle it down. It's right in the middle of the field. It's out about 25 yards. Ball up near the midline, and here comes Ian Miller. And Miller with a tremendous burst of speed against Bryant Sanchez. And Miller circling around. And he falls. And let's see what the call is. Looks like it's going to be, they're going to rule that Miller was dragged down, and so the Wildcats will give Greenville a free kick here at about 25 yards. Taking it for Greenville will be Kevin Zavala. And the Wildcats, looks like Bryant Sanchez is down for the Wildcats. And Tammy Carroll is out looking at him. And she will take care of him. Looks like we have an injury player timeout here at 2:38. Greenville leads 3-0. Let's take the break here, and we'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
And back here, and I don't know if they just issued a yellow card. Looks like Ian Miller's been sent off the field here. As Bryant Sanchez is up and walking under his own power there. As I don't know if he cramped up, I have no idea, but he is walking on his own, and whatever the situation is, he's trying to walk off whatever is bothering him. Looked like Miller definitely got sent off. He may have gotten a yellow card. The official was doing a lot of writing. I didn't see the card fly. Doug, did you? No. Doug didn't see a yellow card either. But they sent Miller off. And so I don't know if that was kind of a warning, but the thing is they removed him from the field. He was not happy about what had taken place around that Sanchez injury. And the Wildcats throw it in and knocked out of bounds by the Wildcats, and Greenville with a throw in here. We only have 2:14 left in the first half. And Greenville leads 3-0. 3 first half goals. Aguilar will work it around the defensive end. The Wildcats sure would like a goal here to kind of close the gap. Ball into Wildcats territory. Comes down to Matthew Johnson, and he works it over to Jose Salazar. Johnson getting in there again. Yanez works it back to a teammate. That's David Ramirez. Kicks it down the field. Alexis Escobedo tries to get in there. Now the Wildcats will send Escobedo to the left side of the box. Greenville kicks it out of there. Comes down to Kevin Yanez. Yanez finds a teammate on that far touchline over there. Looks like Andrew Escobar. No, that's Enrique Arellano. Hard to tell a 1 from a 7 from about 70 yards distance or something into a dark area. We've mentioned this before. These lights are designed to be on the field. They do not light up off the field, and soccer fields go a little bit further than the football field, and so some of that is very dark on that far side. Wildcats have possession. They maneuver it down, but Greenville takes it away. Just 53 seconds, all that's left here in the first half. Greenville with a 3-0 lead. And ball's knocked out of bounds, and Greenville will throw it back in. They'll throw in for Greenville, headed by the Wildcats. 36 seconds, all that's left in the first half. And the Wildcats trying to get one final opportunity, but here comes Greenville. The Wildcats trying to break that up. And boy, what a rough customer that Peyton Franklin is. He's a big fella, and he causes a lot of chaos out there. Here's a kick toward the goal. Wildcats block it down, but Greenville continues to put pressure on. Wildcats heading it out of there. And David Marino rolls it down to Escobedo. Alexis Escobedo moves around players. Oh, there's triple digits, and that will end the first half. So Greenville scores 3 times in the first half, and they lead 3-0 as we take the halftime break here. Their Greenville first goal was by Kevin Jasso at 36-26. They led 1-0. The second goal happened 6 minutes later exactly, and it was scored by Ian Miller at 30-26, and Miller also scored at 18-25. So 2 goals by Miller and 1 by Jasso, so their leading scorers, their big, all their guys, and they say in soccer vernacular, on top there, the forwards. Two of their 3 big boppers are on the scoreboard tonight. And I know that other fella, Zavala, would like to join them. So we're at the half, and the teams are staying on the field. Might as well not get nice and comfy and warm and have to come out in 9 minutes and play again. So we're going to go ahead and take a break here. Greenville leads at the half by the score of 3-0. And we'll be back with more Wildcat soccer, but let's take a break, and we shall return. At least Greenville is starting back onto the field for the start of the second half. The Wildcats still huddled up down below. Final thoughts from Alexi Upton, first-year coach for the Wildcats. And I think he's done a real good job this year coaching these guys up. So he is confronting something that probably, I'm not sure he's seen this kind of deficit before. But I don't recall them really being behind in a game and really getting, kind of getting a beating. But I may be forgetting something. But most of their losses have been of the 2-1 variety, that sort of thing, as in my memory. Greenville will put the ball in play, and doing that for them will be Ian Miller. And just waiting for the official. Now he gives them the word, and Miller will put it in to play back to Franklin. Go over to the far touchline to Moody. He kicks into the defensive end to Caden Marshall. Up near the midline. Oh, a takedown there. And let's see who got the call. And we have a Greenville player that they call the foul on Franklin, and he is just now, I think he is on the ground, and looked like he fell and kind of took a Wildcat with him. And now he makes his way to his feet. And the Wildcats will get a free kick. This one's out about 53 yards right at the goal. And here's Yanez with a strong kick on the Greenville goal, but it went to the left. Kind of faded after it. I thought it was heading in the right direction, but it kind of faded to the left, and Greenville goal kick. The strong-legged Aguilar, Zane Aguilar. And he approaches and puts the foot into it, and a nice kick right at the midline. And Greenville boots the ball down the field, and they're on the attack. The Wildcats head the ball back to the keeper, and he'll scoop it up with Miller honing in on him. And the only way he knows how to run, with a great deal of speed. There's a nice kick out of the goal for Brenna. But Greenville's headed it back into the Wildcats' end. And they're on the far touchline. They'll kick it down the field and chase. Aguilar is going to get there first. In fact, he kind of screened the Wildcat player and let the keeper pick it up for the Greenville Lions. 38:05 left in the second half, and Greenville leading the Wildcats 3-0. Andrew Escobar had the ball down the field, and now Greenville kicks it back into the Wildcats defense, and it ended up going across the touchline, and now a throw in for the Lions. And throwing in there will be Christian Lerma. And Greenville across the, dancing right along that touchline was Peyton Franklin, and out of bounds it goes, and it'll be the Wildcats throw in fairly deep in their own territory at 37-28. And Greenville with a 3-0 lead after 3 goals in the first half. Franklin kicks it to the middle of the field. Wildcats break it up, get it over to Alexis Escobedo. Now Aguilar sends it into the Wildcats end. Players run by the ball, and now they'll chase. And David Marino had it, played catch with a teammate, and then sent it along the far touchline. Went off of, looked like Alexis Escobedo. So throw in for the Lions. 36:49 left in the second half. Greenville with a 3-0 lead. And they'll try the right side over here. And now Greenville right out in the middle, and then the ball squirts all the way across the far touchline. They'll say last touched by the Wildcats, and Greenville will have a throw in. Here they head to the left side of the goal. The left side of that big box, the Wildcats defense trying to complete some passes to get it out of their defensive end. Greenville's back checking pretty fierce, but Greenville out of bounds. A throw in for the Wildcats right on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to come out of there. Greenville keeping it bottled up and the Wildcats in. But here come the Wildcats out of there. A Wildcat player fell, and then Greenville hammers it back in. Now the Wildcats have it in their defensive end. And they'll kick to Omar Hernandez on the near touchline here. And he works it back to Andrew Escobar. Now Diosdado has it. And they'll work it again to Andrew Escobar. Omar Hernandez back to Escobar. And he boots it down the field, but that's going to hit the touchline and go out of bounds. Tried to get it down in the area of Diosdado. 35-16 left in the second half, and Greenville with a 3-0 lead. And the Lions will get the throw in, and for that they will turn to Carter Mulkey. And the throw in headed, and that's going to go right back out of bounds. That was for the Wildcats, Isaac Gutierrez. And Mulkey with another throw in. And nicely headed by the Wildcats, but then Greenville hammers it down the field toward Miller. Miller trying to get it under control. And he sends it to the far touchline. Now Miller turns on the speed. He's got that extra gear. Now he slips and falls. And he will pick up that foul on one of the Wildcats. Wildcat player extended the hand, and they slapped some skin there to show that there was no harm intended in that foul. Greenville kick out about 35 yards, but right on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to head it out of their own end, or their own goal area, and they continue to move it out. Here's Diosdado. And Diosdado will send Omar Hernandez flying down the field with a Greenville defender in hot pursuit. Omar on the move, trying to maneuver around. It's kicked to the middle of the field. The Wildcats burrowing in. And it's right out in front, but Greenville misdirects it to the side. And now it's over to Omar again. And Omar Hernandez trying to clear for a shot. And now kicks it toward the goal. It's repelled, but right to the Wildcats. A kick toward the goal. Oh, split the uprights, look like. That was Jose Salazar. A little bit too much rise on the kick, and it'll be a Greenville goal kick. Well, that was kind of exciting. Generated in large part by Omar Hernandez and several other Wildcats getting in on the act. Here's a goal kick again for that from that strong-legged Aguilar for Greenville. And he's just about guaranteed the midline every time he kicks it. Greenville trying to come across the midline. The Wildcats trying to break it up. Boy, that Franklin is hard to deter. Now the Wildcats, they stop the attack by Greenville and get it out of there nicely. They'll get it over to Yanez. Kevin Yanez working it over to Isaac Gutierrez. Gutierrez down the field toward Alexis Escobedo. Now Greenville takes over. They've got Miller on the far side. And he kicks to the center of the field. And now Greenville's attack is broken up by the Wildcats. Yanez will send it back further into the defense for a deep kick up around the midline. Oh, Wildcat player had Moody on his back and a foul on the Greenville player. And just 2 yards from the midline, Yanez will get the free left-footed kick here. Everybody else falling down further into the Greenville end. Here's the kick by Yanez, a strong kick, headed high into the air by Greenville. A Wildcat header. And now Greenville will send it up the field. Moody's got it on the far side. Puts on the move on the far touchline. The Wildcats pry it loose. Wildcat player knocked down, and they'll get Greenville for a foul. And now the kick for the Wildcats. A kick down the field. Right here on the near touchline. Ball back to Andrew Escobar. Escobar on the move. Finds Omar Hernandez with a left foot. Right out in front. Greenville clears it from the doorstep out to the side. And now we'll kick the ball high into the air. And heading to the far touchline here. And Greenville sends it down the field to Ian Miller, and Miller flying down the field. Wildcats defenders, he attracts a lot of them, and the ball repelled. And now the Wildcats will kick the ball down the field toward Yanez up near the midline. Ball on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to get some offense going here, trailing 3-0. Oh, players get entangled, and they ended up pulling each other to the ground, and a Greenville player looks like he wants to well, now really tempers are really flaring out of control, and players having to be separated. Some cooler heads in there from both sides, I will say, are keeping the players that are losing their tempers apart. And players still kind of encouraging, come on, and now they're trying to keep players from brawling as we've got a really bad situation here as players are separated. And let's see if we can't get everybody cooled down a little bit. Alexi Upton out on the field to make sure that his Wildcats stay away, but we had some players dragged each other to the ground and then took great exception, and words were exchanged, and just looked like that there was the players were just going to tangle, but luckily some cooler heads prevailed that kept the hotter-headed players from really tying into each other, and wishing they wouldn't, because I'm sure there would have been a variety of cards passed out, probably some reds that would have ended the evening for several players, or getting into a fight here. Hopefully everybody's just cooled down a little bit. 30-24, the clock has been stopped while the officials are trying to restore order here in this game. And again, all caused by a couple of players that really got tangled up, and they dragged each other to the ground and then jumped up, spoiling the fight. Words were exchanged, and then so now looks like a yellow card has been given to one of the Greenville players. And now a yellow card to somebody that was taken out of the ball game. So a yellow card for each team, one on Greenville and one on the Wildcats. The Wildcats player was sitting on the bench when he was awarded his yellow card, so he's not going anywhere. Greenville will have to make a substitution as they lost one of their players that, and I think he was one of the ones that looked like he was ready to fight, and whoever was egging him on for the Wildcats was probably the one given the yellow card sitting on the bench. But so a yellow card for each team. And again, we're at 30-24, and the officials, just trying to keep players from losing their cool here, because you get some mad sometime and you want to settle your differences, but if you think about it for a while and think all that it's going to cost you in terms of future playing time and maybe missing a game or two, or for that kind of activity, you probably say, man, I shouldn't have done that. But in the heat of the moment, all you can think about is you want to really tie into somebody. So hopefully everybody's just kind of calmed down now. Again, the official just making sure he touches all his bases here. And it looks like he is just about ready to restore a play here. And so officials look like he's taking some notes over there. And again, we're at 30-23. Stoppage in action here as officials felt this game was close to turning into a brawl and did not want that. So a yellow card for each team to try to calm everybody down, and severe warnings to everybody else to behave. And as a result of all this, looks like Greenville will have a free kick about 5 yards from the midline. As we'll get back to play here. Greenville 3, the Wildcats 0. 30-23 left here in the second half. And let's see, make sure everybody's behaving now. A good strong kick by Greenville down the field, headed out by the Wildcats as they come out of there, but Greenville takes it over. And again, this strong Franklin right on the touchline. Now the Wildcats, they caught a kick, catches Franklin on the side of the head there. Did not deter him much, though. Throw in for the Wildcats, and that's going to go out of bounds. And I believe Malik Champion is now throwing the ball in for Greenville. Comes into a Wildcat who boots it down the field. Now kicked high into the air. Nice header by the Wildcats. Wildcats settle it down. Here's Andrew Escobar over to Omar Hernandez. Ball out of bounds, and Greenville throw in. Nice header by the Wildcats, and nice run there by Nabian Ramirez, who kicked it down the field, but right to the keeper for Greenville. There's a Greenville kick out of the goal. Wildcats have it at the midline. They'll kick it down the field to Diosdado. Diosdado on the move. Tried to find a teammate. Greenville broke it up. Trying to come out of there. A Greenville player was hit and fell, and that'll be a foul on the Wildcats. That guy's got some of those fancy shoes that you can turn those lights on. When they saw the soles of those things, kind of shined there on the field. Well, Greenville will get the free kick about 15 yards from the midline. Nice strong kick there by Joel Salazar. Into the Wildcats end on the far touchline, goes across the touchline. Throw in for the Wildcats. 28-26 left here in the second half. Greenville 3-0 lead. All their damage done in the first half, 3 goals. And now Wildcats tried to go on the far touchline but kicked it out of bounds. It'll be back to Greenville on the far touchline, about halfway out of their territory. At 28 minutes left here in the second half. Here come the Wildcats on the attack. Greenville has it, and they'll kick it down the field into the Wildcats defense. Turning and chasing is David Marino, and he kicks to Brenna, the goalkeeper, and he works it out to a defender and then down the field, but Greenville has it, and they set up offense quickly. Wildcats, a nice interception. Here come the Wildcats. They'll kick toward Omar Hernandez. Omar ran by the ball and now has to go get it, and he'll send it to Andrew Escobar, streaking along the near touchline here. Greenville pries it loose, though, and they'll start on the offense. They'll kick to the middle of the field. Salazar chasing, and he gets it over to a teammate. Back down the field. Went off of the Wildcat there, Jose Salazar. Another Greenville player hits the deck, and foul on the Wildcats. The Greenville player was Kevin Zavala. Free kick for Greenville, just 3 yards from the midline. Again, 26:55 left here in the second half, and Greenville leads 3-0. All their goals in the first half. Long, deep kick to the edge of the 18-yard box. Now headed deeper in there, and Brenna, the goalkeeper, will pick it up for the Wildcats. And he will punt it out of there. Wildcats need some goals here to tighten this up, see if they can. Ball comes off of a Greenville player, and looked like a handball there on Greenville. A free kick for the Wildcats. Out about 57 yards. So well out of the goal, and let's see which one of these Wildcats is going to take this kick here. It's going to be made by Jose Salazar. Salazar kind of ran at it and then stopped, and now he'll kick it, and a nice strong kick down the field. It's headed to the left of the goal and will head across the near touchline. Wildcats throw in deep in Greenville territory. Wildcats beginning to generate a few chances anyway. And the throw in for Andrew Escobar, but headed by Greenville. Escobar mixes it up in there, and And he was called for a foul, so it'll be Greenville with a free kick in their own, well, just to the edge of the 18-yard box. To the left of that box from our perspective here in the press box. And there's the kick out of the press box. out of the goal. Ball down to Omar Hernandez. Andrew Escobar, down the field it goes, taken by Isaac Gutierrez. And now Andrew Escobar moved the ball in, and then Greenville kicked it out. Nice header by David Marino. But Greenville back into their defense, and they'll pump it up the field. The Wildcats chest it down, though, and here they come. And moving in, Wildcats maneuvering in. Oh, he's open for a possible shot, but the Greenville defense closes in, and it went across the end line. And let's see what we have here. We have a goal kick is what we have. So last touch by the Wildcats, so a Greenville goal kick. And 24-20 left here in the second half, and Greenville 3, the Wildcats 0, as the Lions scored 3 in the first half, and they've been content just to play solid defense. It's given the Wildcats a few opportunities, but they've been unable to cash in. Zane Aguilar with a kick out of the goal, another thundering kick, and Greenville will head it further down the field, and they're putting on some pressure now, and like a Greenville foul. Free kick for the Wildcats, and they quickly put it into play, but the official says not so quick. And now they will reset the ball down on the ground as the clock is down to 23:37. Now the official says you can kick it. Goes off of Yanez, and Greenville's got it. And they'll kick to the center of the field. Player will tried to go down the right side to a player, intercepted by the Wildcats, and they'll kick it down the field. Yanez got a foot on it, but a Greenville header right on the near touchline here. The Wildcats trying to come out of there with it, and a holding foul on Greenville. Holding the Wildcats, that was Nabian Ramirez. Kick for Andrew Escobar. And Andrew puts the foot into it. It's headed, but goes backwards to the keeper, and he will grab that ball right in front of a charging Wildcat, Diosdado. And there's the big boot out of there by Greenville off of Yanez. And Greenville has it on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to pry it loose, and they do. Maneuvering up the field. Nice work there by Yanez. Kicks with a left foot. He's got Omar Hernandez charging in. The keeper got the ball, and Omar had to do the hurdles there to keep from running into the keeper. And that got the fans excited here in the stadium on this side. Now the ball back up to the midline. The Wildcats on the attack again, but Greenville maneuvering in. Ball on the far touchline. Kick toward the middle. Salazar with a kick, and to the right of the goal. Joel Salazar with a strong kick, but headed off to the right of the goal. 21-44 and counting. Goal kick for the Wildcats. They trail 3-0. More substitutions for the Wildcats. Daniel Marino checks in, along with Miguel Rubio, and looks like also Alfredo Garvis. I don't know why I say that. Alfredo Vargas. I try to change that B and the G for some reason. Goal kick for the Wildcats at 21-12, and Greenville leading 3-0. A district opener for both teams here at Gerald Prim Stadium. And same situation for the Lady Cats playing the Lady Lions of Greenville at Cotton Ford Stadium in Greenville tonight. Continue with the substitutions. One of the Wildcats players had to go get an additional piece of equipment, I believe. And that was Alfredo Vargas. Now he's ready to go, and the clock has been stopped at 20:52. And now officials are going to consult with each other. The official on the field coming over to the flag official on this side. And reaching into the pocket. And the official coming over to the Wildcats bench. And a yellow card pointed at the coach, Alexi Upton. It may have been whatever that was for Vargas coming off and then going back onto the field. I don't know if Upton has picked up a yellow card. He sure was pointing at the coach. And Alexi heads over near the training area and kind of sits over there. I've seen coaches do that before. Now the Wildcats on the attack. On the near touchline here, Greenville kicks the ball high into the air. And nice play by Andrew Escobar. Sends it to the center of the field. And Wildcats moving in. Back to Andrew. Finds Omar Hernandez. Omar heading in, but blocked by Greenville defenders, and it'll roll across the touchline. Wildcats throw in deep in Greenville territory. The Wildcats have had more chances lately. Greenville looks like they're really committed to defense, and the Wildcats are getting some chances. Despite that, now Greenville kicking the ball out of there. And the ball, Nabian Ramirez heads it. And the Wildcats have it. That's Jose Salazar. And works it toward Daniel Marino. Now Greenville will kick it into the Prim seats. But it came all the way back down, and Andrew Escobar has it. 19:44 left in the ball game. And here's the throw in by Andrew Escobar. Kicked out of there. The Wildcats trying to settle it down with Jose Salazar. Escobar, he's been very active in the ball game. Oh, he gets tied in with a Greenville player there. And the foul went against Andrew as he was working on Greenville's Kevin Zavala. And free kick for Greenville in their own territory. And again, Aguilar will take it. Old Thunderfoot here. And he puts a big time charge into it, just down 5 yards from the 18-yard box. Greenville kick goes off of a Wildcat player, and here come the Wildcats with a great deal of speed down the field as maneuvering kick down toward Omar Hernandez. He's right in the middle of the field. Omar on the move, kicked off of a Greenville player. They booted up the field, and Miller, they found him again. Miller on the move, but whistles blow. And a violation on Greenville will result in a Wildcat free kick. And let's see where they're going to settle this one down. Just 3 yards from the midline in Wildcat territory. And kick here for David Marino. He rolls it over to Nabian Ramirez. Goes to the center now for the Wildcats. They maneuver it on down. Greenville kicks it out of there. They found Miller. He back kicked it, and now it's heads over to the midline here. And Escobar tried his best to keep that bouncing wild ball in bounds and could not. He's taking big hops, and that's hard to control. Greenville with a throw in off of ahead of Escobar. Wildcats have it to Miguel Rubio, and Rubio continues on the move. Finds a teammate there. That is Jose Salazar. They maneuver it down to Daniel Marino. Daniel maneuvering in but fell. Now the ball loose. Wildcats trying to get it here. Jose Salazar. Players still fighting for possession of the ball. We're at 17-19. Greenville leads 3-0. There's a long kick. And the Wildcats get a header on it. Trying to bring it out of their defensive end. Nice pass up the field. But taken away by Greenville. They'll work it over to That was Zavala, but now the Wildcats take it back. And here they come. Boy, this game has gotten wide open all of a sudden. Down to Omar Hernandez. He tried to get toward that ball, but Greenville got there first and kicked it across the far touchline out of bounds. Wildcats throw in at 16:40 and counting. And a designated person for the throw-in is down there to do that. And here is the throw-in to the edge of the 18-yard box. The Wildcats trying to get a goal here, but repelled out of there. Settled down, though, a kick on the way, a one-hopper into the keeper. That was taken there by Alfredo Vargas. He had a very pretty goal in the last game against Melissa on a free kick. Ball down the field over toward Miller, but away from him. Wildcats trying to get control. They send it over to the far touchline, and here come the Wildcats on the attack again. 16 minutes left here in the second half. It's been a scoreless second half after Greenville had a 3-goal first half. And now Greenville on the attack, and they've got Miller to the left of the goal. Miller maneuvering to the center, kicks toward the keeper. A couple of hopper there right into Brenna. Nice stop, and he sails it out to Andrew Escobar. And Escobar sends it over to Omar Hernandez at the midline. Omar looking to maneuver, kicks it back into the defense. Nabian Ramirez down the field, but Greenville up near the midline. Salazar has it for Greenville. Across the field, Wildcats back checking over there, but now Greenville will kick it down the field. Header by the Wildcats, but moves backwards, and Greenville on the attack. And they're trying to maneuver into the right of the box, and the ball goes across the end line. And we'll have a goal kick for a foul on Greenville, so a free kick for the Wildcats right on the end line of the 18-yard box and closer to the near touchline for the Wildcats. There's their kick out of there. Greenville will settle it down. The Wildcats chase. Goes across the end line. Frustrated Wildcat there was Miguel Rubio. Hoped to get control of that ball, and it got away from him. Went across the near touchline. Throw in for Greenville now. Carter Mulkey gets it into Franklin. And over to Salazar with a left-footed kick, but went off teammate Miller. Miller works it back to Franklin. Now the Wildcats get it out of there to Omar Hernandez. Omar on the move with a lot of speed. Omar continuing to maneuver. Kicked it down the field, but only Greenville there, and he couldn't get it back. The Wildcats, though, back-checking vigorously, and they pry it loose to Andrew Escobar. Escobar, a give and go with his teammate, but Greenville tried to break it up. Now it's back to Rubio. He goes across the field for the Wildcats. Back to Rubio. Now the ball kicked, but Greenville gets it and kicks it down the field. The Wildcats trying to break up that breakaway attempt by Greenville. It's on the far touchline. Wildcats trying to keep it in, and they were able to do that. And now they'll send a player down the right side with a lot of speed over there. Greenville defender slipped and fell. Wildcats player moving in, couldn't get around the second defender. And the ball squirts across the touchline on the far side. A Wildcat throw in at 13:14 left to play here. Greenville 3 and the Wildcats 0. And Bryant Sanchez, I believe, is the player on that far side that will be throwing the ball in. Wildcats are going to send in 4 players here. Diastado, Yanez, also Matthew Johnson, and also Alexis Escobedo all come in for the Wildcats. So those substitutions have entered. And now Greenville will make several substitutions. Wildcats have a throw-in eventually, but and actually the clock has been stopped. Now it's rolling at 13 minutes as the ball comes in. And the Lions coming out of their defensive end. They get it over to Miller, and he comes down the field with a great deal of speed. Miller racing down the field. And Miller falls and did not get the call. A play on, the officials say. And the Wildcats come out of there with it. They'll send it down the far touchline, but Greenville intercepts. And they're on the far touchline now with just 12:31 left to play here. The ball goes out of bounds. Last touch Wildcats. And throw in for the Lions. Greenville scored 3 goals in the first 21 minutes and 35 seconds of this contest, and then it's been scoreless since. Well, Greenville playing with a lead, so they just have to play defensively. The Wildcats have looked better here in the second half, but they still have not been able to get on the scoreboard. Here's a kick, and it went off the keeper and went in for a goal. So that's going to really be a long-range goal there. It's hard to see if I can pick up that player. That's going to be a goal by Joel Salazar. So Salazar kicked it from over near the touchline on a free kick, and it went off of the keeper at 11:59, and Greenville goes up 4-0. Well, that one just handcuffed Brenna, the keeper, and I know he's very disappointed that he let that one sneak in. And the Wildcats put it in play. They now trail 4-0 as we're in the last 11:55 of this contest. And the ball down now in the hands of Escobedo, and down the field it comes to Diosdado. His kick goes off a Greenville player. The Wildcats, Johnson had a touch on it, but ball was knocked out of bounds. See what we have here. We have Sulphur Springs 32, Lindale 26 going into the fourth period. A defensive struggle for the Wildcats, but they lead 32-26 going into the fourth quarter. The Wildcats having a little trouble tonight putting away Lindale there in a kind of a defensive ball game. But still a quarter to go in Lindale. We appreciate that message coming in. 11:05 left in our soccer game here, and the Wildcats trailing Greenville 4-0. Coach Upton will be disappointed that the Wildcats were not more competitive in this one. But Greenville just has played very, very well tonight. The ball goes across the touchline on the near side. A Greenville throw in by Mulkey. 10:44. Not sure where that call came from, but I certainly appreciate it. I'm not sure I would recognize that number anyway. Somebody. We're getting calls from Chris, superfan Chris, and we appreciate him over there in Lindale. He's probably got Jay with him. I mentioned them on the air the other night, and they beamed all over the place. They were recalling that at the girls' game last night. And they are super fans. There is no doubt about it, Chris and Jay. They hardly miss any big sporting event involving Wildcats or Lady Cats. The ball now on the far touchline for the Wildcats. 10 minutes left here in the second half, and the Wildcats trailing 4-0. Again, Omar Hernandez working awfully hard to get the ball down the field, and the Wildcats have it. Back to Omar. He sends it down the right side to a teammate over there to the right of the touchline, sends it toward the middle of the field, but Greenville clears it out of there nicely, as you're supposed to do, down the field. And here comes Yanez. They give him time and space, and Yanez finds a teammate further down. A left-footed kick, turn and a shot there. Looked like Enrique Arellano, and goes across the end line. See if we're not going to have a corner kick here for the Wildcats. Chasing that ball down is Alexis Escobedo. Chris, thank you very much for that score. Again, Wildcats 32 and Lindale 26. They're in Lindale as they start the fourth quarter. Corner kick for the Wildcats. Another substitution for Greenville. Looks like Yanez will be doing the kicking for the Wildcats. The clock has been stopped at 9:12. And now here's the kick for the Wildcats right out in front as they try to get to it. Greenville kicks it high in the air and kind of clears it out of there. Players going for headers. And now Matthew Johnson moving in. His kick went off of a Greenville player. and then went sailing out of bounds and hit the fence over by Houston Street, looks like. Another corner kick coming for the Wildcats, and this will be Alexis Escobedo. He puts that ball down. We have 8:37 and counting here. Escobedo's kick. It's high in the air. It's out in front, and the Wildcats got a kick that was blocked by Greenville, and Miller takes it in full stride, and he's going to be hard to catch. Miller, pure speed down the field. The keeper comes up, and Miller put it in the goal. It looked like one of the Wildcats ended up maybe in that goal as well, but Miller gets his hat trick again for the second straight year. Miller has scored 3 goals, and he gets this one at 8:21. And Greenville at 5-0. Be the second year in a row they've won by that score if the Wildcats can hold them for this last 8:21. Boy, Miller's a tough customer when he comes barreling into the keeper like that. The keeper challenged him, but Miller just got him up close and then just dumped the ball into the net. An accomplished goal scorer, no doubt about it. Be interesting where he may be playing his college soccer or what his plans are. He is a very, very talented player. There's no doubt about it. I'd like to see them play Mount Pleasant. Wouldn't that be a game? Mount Pleasant always so tough, but this Greenville team with a almost entirely full roster of seniors. I think out of 16 players, they've got 15 seniors on this roster. So they have really been playing together for a long time. They lead 5-0. 8 minutes left here in the second half. And here comes Kevin Yanez down the field. Greenville kicks it out of there, and they will play it across the field, but the Wildcats intercept. But their pass is intercepted by Greenville right at the midline. This is Franklin, that big midfielder, and now they'll send a player down the left side. Here's a kick toward the middle. The Wildcats headed out of there. Players chase. One of the Greenville players falls, no call. And the Wildcats have possession as they come out of their defensive end across the midline. A deep kick toward Omar Hernandez. He chases, but the keeper got there. And Omar in full flight, but avoids the keeper, and now the keeper boots it out of there. 7:13 left to play here in the second half. Greenville with a 5-0 lead. They were very quiet for most of the second half, but now have scored a couple of goals in just 3 or 4 minutes. Started with about 12 minutes to play, and they scored 2 within 4 minutes after that to bump that 3-0 lead up to 5-0. Miller on the fly again, moving in, hoping for 4 goals. He got knocked off the ball. Again, no call. Miller hit the deck, and now there is going to be a call. And a free kick coming up for Greenville, about 31 yards out. I think they will use maybe Salazar again. Strong. It's going to be about actually 32 yards out. And I believe that's Salazar. He won't turn around so I can see his number. But he's a big bulky fellow, and that's who it looks like. And here is his kick, and he thunders it toward the goal. A one-hopper to Brenna, who handles that one. Just over 6 minutes to play here in the second half. Greenville 5, the the Wildcats 0. My brain is on vacation, by the way. I allowed it to go take a week off, and so that's what's going on up here in the booth. Wildcats have the ball. They send it down the field. Franklin works it over to the side here to a Greenville player who would be Lerma. Now the Wildcats kick it down the field. Across the touchline, throw in for the Wildcats. Matthew Johnson to throw it in for the Wildcats. He sends it in. It goes back to Alexis Escobedo, back to Matthew Johnson. His right-footed kick. Oh, he's got a player right on the doorstep there. That was Daniel Marino. And the ball was pried loose by Greenville, and they bring it down the field. They find Miller. Miller will chip it down toward the keeper, and Brenna comes up and takes it in front of a charging Greenville player. Under 5 minutes to play here in the second half, and Greenville ahead of the Wildcats 5-0. And Greenville on the attack. continuing to maneuver in. Opening up for a shot just to the right of the post. And goal kick for the Wildcats. 4:34 and counting here in the second half. Another substitution for the Greenville Lions. Be interesting to hear Alexi Upton's take on this game and how it went. The Wildcats roll it out of the goal this time to the defender. And here comes, I believe that's Matthew Johnson. Now it goes across the touchline. Last touch by Greenville. Johnson will throw it in and gets it into Kevin Yanez. His left-footed kick down the field toward Daniel Marino. Now the Wildcats continue to apply the pressure. Moody looks like he might be limping a little bit back there. The keeper got to the ball first. Perhaps not. Maybe he was just kind of loping after the ball. Here's a Greenville kick out of the goal up near the midline. And now Greenville pries it loose and works it down to Miller flying in, but it's too far for him. The Wildcats got there first. Miller honing in, though, battling for the ball. Went across the touchline. Last touch by Greenville. Throw in for the Wildcats. Pretty deep in their own territory. 3:19 left here in the second half. And the Lions leading 5-0. As they look like the real deal tonight, I'd say they look like they should be up right at the top of the standings. And now Omar Hernandez burrowing in for the Wildcats, trying to clear for a shot. His kick hit the side of the goal. Omar was pretty well defended, so he had a hard time getting that shot off. And be goal kick for the Lions after they chase down the ball. And another Greenville substitution checks in. Again, they check Aguilar in for that thunder leg of his kicking out of the goal. I think there's another player down there, but yeah, he will defer. That Moody will defer to Aguilar. Greenville 5, the Wildcats 0. 2:22, all that's left here in the second half. Zane Aguilar with a kick out of the goal. Headed by the Wildcats, a strong header. There's Daniel Marino moving in. Daniel kicks toward the goal. Goal, Wildcats! Hey, how about Daniel Marino? Oh, wait a minute. That is Daniel Marino. Yes, indeed. So a goal for the Wildcats. Daniel Marino at 2:09. And the Wildcats are on the board. How about Daniel? I tell you, he is a force. He reminds me of, again, that Dallas sidekick, that tattoo that just used to hang around the front of that goalkeeper box, and you just couldn't move him out of there. And Daniel, a big body, he's hard to move, and he got a good shot on goal, and he put it in there, buried it for the Wildcats. 5-1 now, 2 minutes left here in the second half. And now a deep Greenville kick. The Wildcats will chase. It'll go across the touchline. And a Wildcat throw in as we're under 2 minutes. And now the Wildcats put the ball into the field, into the middle of the field, and of their defense. Yanez's kick goes off of, that was Escobedo. Here comes Greenville moving in. They'll kick to the front. There's a player wide open there, and Miller had it there. It looked like Brenna got bumped into. He slipped and fell back there, back behind the goal, the end line. And now Greenville will play the ball in to Miller. And Miller kicks to the center, but headed out by the Wildcats into a big void there, and they will chase the ball. And broken up by the by Greenville, and they are back on the attack. The far touchline, Miller works it into a teammate. 1 minute left here in the second half, and Greenville leading 5-1. Wildcats take the ball away, and they come up the field out of their defense, but Greenville has it. Again, here's Big Franklin, and he thunders it toward the goal. It hit the crossbar. It's still a live ball. Miller moves in, and Miller just chipped it wide of the goal. Next thing you know, Miller in a loose ball right out in front of the goal, and somehow he chipped it wide. We're in the last 30 seconds. Greenville 5, the Wildcats 1. Wildcats will have a kick out of the goal here, and this is just about going to be the final act of this ball game. And there's the kick out of the goal for the Wildcats. Greenville chests it down. The Wildcats good back checking though. 10 seconds, all that's left. And the Wildcats move it up the field. Just trying to keep it alive here. And 1 second, and there's 000 here. And Greenville with a nice solid 5-1 win over the Wildcats. And Alexi Upton, that ball rolled to him, and he just kind of back kicked it out of play. Very frustrated, I'm sure. So the Greenville Lions really look like the real deal in district play as they defeat the Wildcats by the score of 5-1. And we'll recap all the goals for you as they go through the handshake line. Let's go ahead and do that. In the first half, Greenville had 3 goals, or had 3 goals in the first half, 2 in the second. They started out with Jasso had a goal. That would be Kevin Jasso. That was at 36-26, only 3:34 into this contest. Greenville leads 1-0. Ian Miller scored at 30-26, made it 2-0. Ian Miller scored at 18-25, made it 3-0. Then we went to the half. In the second half, Greenville got on the boards. They were kind of dormant for almost 30 minutes, or about 28 minutes in a second. And then a goal by Greenville by Joel Salazar. And at 11:59, and then a goal by Miller for his hat trick at 8:21. That made it 5-0. Then the Wildcats got the final goal of the match, as Daniel Marino scored for the Wildcats with 2:09 left in the contest, and it was Greenville 5 and the Wildcats 1. Wildcats 0-1 in district play. They'll now go to 5-6-2 for the season. We believe Greenville is now 8-5 and 1-0 in district play. And if I can dig my schedule out of here, I'll tell you that the next action for the Wildcats will be coming up on this Friday, as Lindale will be in town. So the Wildcats against Lindale, and that is one I know that Alexi Upton will want to win to try to get his Wildcats back to 500, especially on the home pitch here after this setback to the Greenville Lions. So that's pretty much going to do it here. And again, we have not heard anything additionally from the Wildcats. Last we heard in basketball, and they were ahead of Lindale by the score of 32-26 going into the fourth quarter. So a tight ball game going on in Lindale as the Wildcats are trying to go 10-0 in district play to fulfill one of their goals for the season, was to be undefeated in district play. And so they're trying to keep that going in that fourth quarter in Lindale, and I know that Jim is probably hopping down there with Lindale very much in that ball game as the fourth quarter gets underway. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up as James Terry did our work back in master control, and we appreciate James. Doug Haston did our engineering, and as best I can tell, we stayed on the streaming tonight from start to finish, and we're glad to accomplish that. We've had a little pop in the audio tonight, and I have no idea what is causing all that disruption, but thank you very much, Pop, for describing what's going on. There's more of it. So the Wildcats lose this one to Greenville by the score of 5-1. But again, thanks to Doug for the engineering and the videotaping, as he will put this together for a replay on Channel 18 and also on YouTube for you to check out as soon as he gets it all done. I'm Don Julian with your play-by-play from this district opener for both of these two teams, and the Greenville Lions defeat the Wildcats of Sulphur Springs by the score of 5-1. We thank you for joining us, and so long, everybody.
Thank you, Don. You've been listening to Wildcat Soccer on KSST 1230 AM Sulphur Springs, your official Wildcat and Lady Cat station. Back to Good Time Oldies after this message.